The Arkansas Municipal League, we were formed by cities in 1934 to go together and work together and see how they could help one another. We're having our 82nd annual convention. The basic services. I mean, this is the municipalities are the ones that give them police protection, fire protection, sanitation services, water, sewer, parks and recreation. All the basic things that make life livable are done by cities and towns. And so that's they know that this organization is trying to help those city officials provide those services in the most efficient manner that they can.
I'm Rick Ellenball, the Arkansas Municipal League President and also the City of Batesville Mayor. So I'd like to welcome each and every one of you here. This is the 82nd annual convention of the Arkansas Municipal League. That's why we're here. That's why we're here as mayors. That's why we're here as council. We want to provide services for our community, and this is just a network that opens it up for everyone.
Part of the League's program is to be an advocate for cities, and we try to get the cities the tools that they need from the legislative bodies at the state level or the federal level. And then we try to operate programs that help cities to operate efficiently. I mean, just one example, cities have gone together since 1982 and pooled their liability for their municipal vehicles. We started charging $100 a year per vehicle in 1982, and we're still charging $100 per vehicle today. So that's a way that cities can go together and save money. That's just one example. We do the same thing on health care. We've had flat rates basically since '07 on our health program, major medical for city employees. Do the same thing on workers' comp, legal defense, property. We try to go together so they can hold their costs down, and that enables them to operate efficiently. Last time I checked, cities in Arkansas localities in Arkansas had the lowest taxes in the nation. So if we're not the lowest, we're among the lowest. I haven't checked lately, but we're still very low on taxes compared to other states at the local level.
The Arkansas Municipal League, our municipal officials, our mayors have supported me in so many different legislative initiatives that have been important for our state. And I think it's because, well, it's the right thing to do. But it's also because I understand rural Arkansas. I listened to some of the cities that were mentioned, and they're not cities that are big. They're typical Arkansas small communities in which people find an incredible place to live, a wonderful quality of life, a great place to raise a family. And that's the community in which we serve. It's all about economic growth. It's about partnership with our local communities. It's about investing in economic development. And in Arkansas, if we can recruit those supply chain drivers, as I call them, those larger industries, then with a rural state like Arkansas, it benefits every community because we live in the community, we work in a larger town perhaps, and so whenever we're working real hard for the larger companies that come, that benefits everybody here in this state. The fact that we got a 3.8% unemployment rate shows that we're having some success, and these communities are doing a terrific job at it.
There are two very important bills in Congress right now, generally known as e-fairness, and what that really means is the ability to charge and collect local sales taxes on all internet purchases. Some vendors do that voluntarily right now, but most internet purchases are not collecting that local revenue stream. So the significance is this: if I go buy a pair of tennis shoes here in Little Rock, I pay the local sales tax, which helps supply the funding to make sure the roads are in good shape and the police and fire folks are there and all those sorts of things that we all rely on from our city government. But if I buy that same pair of shoes on the internet, in all likelihood, I don't pay that tax. And what that then amounts to is the city that I live in doesn't get the services that it richly deserves. So it's a fairness. It's not a new tax. It's just a simple, easy, fair way to do business in America that's fair to everybody. And it's very vital, and we certainly hope our entire delegation from Arkansas supports it.
What kind of an impact has internet sales had on small mom and pop businesses throughout Arkansas, and then also with revenue for small cities, towns, and villages?
Very, very significant. You've got places that are trying to compete in local storefronts like Batesville and El Dorado and lots of other cities in town, and they're going up against Amazon and Nike, and I mean the list goes on and on and on. And it is very, very difficult to tell your customer base, I could do just as well on the base price, but I have to collect the tax. And so what's easier for you as the consumer? You sit at home, you click a couple of buttons, and the sales tax isn't collected. So it has had a dramatic effect on our local businesses, and it's just simply unfair. At its core, it's not really a tax issue, it's really a question of being fair to local merchants, the people who have invested in their communities, and we want to make sure that they stay and that they are rooted there because they make a huge difference in our everyday lives.
You need to say, I'm standing tall for cities, and this is what cities need. And if you don't do that, they're going to say, well, they really didn't have the heart. They just talked to me about it. You got to go in the game and get in strong for your citizens. $23 billion. I can walk into one of the downtown stores, take a picture, and then go to the internet because I'm trying to avoid sales tax. That store has lost a sale and continues to lose sales. And then I try to avoid the internet tax. It's not fair. It is not fair. Those downtown stores deserve the same playing field as other internet.
Local government is important because of the service that they bring to the community. When you have a need, a municipal need, citizens don't think about calling the President of the United States or their congressional member or their senator. They think about calling their mayor or their alderman and saying, can you help me solve this issue in my community? Cities are also important because they are the face of what people look for in regards to representation of themselves. So you select a mayor or alderman or a council member in your city based upon the leadership that you desire. And so those things are so important to city officials. It's so important to the citizens that they represent. And at a federal level, oftentimes they don't know that individual, but they know their mayor. They know who represents them at the city level. They see them in church. They see them at the post office. They see them at community meetings. So municipal officials are at the forefront of solving many issues. And it's a necessary responsibility, and we're glad that we are part of taking care of our citizens.
As the Chief Law Enforcement Officer, I wrote an op-ed that was published nationally about the role of law enforcement in our communities. And I know as mayors and leaders in your towns that you know the value of law enforcement. You see the sacrifices of the men and women in blue. But unfortunately, we're at a time where we've heard too much criticism about the men and women in blue who keep our communities safe. And so when you hear that sort of criticism or see it on Facebook or Twitter, here's my simple ask to you, friends. Shut it down. Shut it down. Our law enforcement, they keep our communities safe. When someone looks to move to Hot Springs, Texarkana, Jonesboro, Pocahontas, they ask two questions. Are the schools good? And what's the crime rate? So we must keep our crime rates low. We must keep our communities safe. Let's encourage our law enforcement. I appreciate the role that you all do every day. I appreciate your leadership. This is a great opportunity as the Chief Legal and Law Enforcement Officer of the state to visit with mayors, municipal leaders across Arkansas to ensure that we are doing what we can to protect Arkansans, whether it's through our law enforcement efforts, our public safety efforts, to make sure that we are all rowing the same direction. I'm so proud of all the municipal leaders that are here today and what they are doing on behalf of Arkansans.
First of all, always there are budget restraints for members in the state of Arkansas, especially our police officers, our firefighters, with that, as well as community engagement that is also a big necessary and a big need to help combat crime. The old adage that's been used here lately is if you see something, say something. But the engagement of our community, along with the relationships with our police officers and budgeting, as well as training for the officers, are the most important issues right now that we face.
One of the great things of having a meeting like this or going to a national meeting is that you get to steal a bunch of other people's ideas. And I want you to do that. I want you to steal as many different ideas and take them back home and put them to work as you can. One of the things we did, and I'm really happy to talk to you about it for just a moment, is, we typically deal with potholes and street paving and trash, water and sewer. Cities are continually reaching out now and doing more and different things to try and take care of our citizens, recognizing that county government doesn't do it necessarily, neither does state government, and most often, as we've seen in the last few years, the federal government's not doing it. So increasingly, that burden is being placed on our shoulders as local officials. One of the things we've done is, while we don't run our schools, we are not we don't have any responsibility for our schools, as you don't. We have decided to get involved in the schools in a variety of ways. And one of the programs that we have taken to many of our elementary schools is a program called Love Your School. It's an issue that I thought we needed to address a few years ago, dealing with the issues of childhood obesity. It is truly an epidemic. And so the question is, what can a city do about that? We can certainly be a cheerleader. We can urge people to use our parks. We can have marathons, and we can build walking trails and bicycle trails. But what else can we do? How can we get into a regular situation where we get into the minds of young people to try and educate them about healthy eating, healthy nutrition, where produce and vegetables and fruit come from? Many of our kids don't know those things, sadly enough. So we began a program about 3 or 4 years ago called Love Your School. And we have volunteers. We work with our high schools. We work with our colleges. We work with our wonderful AmeriCorps program, where we take and we bring kids into 9 elementary schools, and they teach nutrition classes. We work with the schools. We get an opportunity to take some of that educational time and actually teach from kindergarten through the 5th grade in our elementary schools. We actually teach nutrition classes. And then they go in, and we have built gardens in each one of these elementary schools. And each class has a garden they're responsible for. So they learn many, many things. They learn about science, they learn about math, they learn about English, they learn about proper nutrition. By educating them about what is healthy and what is not healthy. It's really a matter of how we can provide for public safety, how we can provide for safe neighborhoods, make sure that we've got streets that'll get us from one point to another, delivering goods and services and delivering kids to schools and back in a safe way, making sure that we've got those basic necessities of clean water, good sanitation systems, all operating correctly. The interesting thing is that cities is really where the action is. From an immediate standpoint of how we affect people's lives, we probably have more influence on affecting people's lives than any other level of government. And so we face those challenges. They're economic challenges. Certainly, we're out here recruiting for jobs in industry, and we do that in a very aggressive way here.
We're the first city in Arkansas, and maybe the first city in the nation, to do a project like this with a combination building that's going to be with the school district and the city. We're sharing the cost on it, where the school donated the land for us, and it's just going to be a fantastic opportunity. If it wasn't this opportunity, we wouldn't be able to build a new city hall. And it's just we feel like a wise use of taxpayer money. Not building 2 facilities, taking up 2 different locations, and even with City Hall possibly taking up tax-producing revenue from property to build a City Hall. We've got an opportunity here, and we're just really, really excited about it. The building is set up, it's set up into 3 sections. One section is the City Hall. The center section is where we'll have court, council, school board, planning commission meeting, and then the other section is actually the school administration side of it.
This time last year, our city hall caught on fire and burned destroyed. It was completely destroyed. And 2 days after the fire, Municipal League was there with a check. You don't get that kind of insurance everywhere. They should adopt the good hands deal, because they were there and they were calling me the morning that I didn't have to wait to call them. They were calling me, and they were trying to see what they could do for us. And that was, at a time like that, that was a big plus.
We are very much in need of infrastructure repairs on our streets and roads. We did a bond issue, and we made extreme changes in a few of our streets, but we need more help. Another thing that we've just done is that we've purchased over 100 million gallons a day of water from Lake Millwood, which is the second cleanest lake in Arkansas. And so we're open for business. We're hoping that industry will come there because of the convergence of 2 interstate highways, the fact that we have a superabundance of raw materials, and we have a very welcoming attitude toward business in Texarkana, Arkansas.
El Dorado, like many cities and towns, has a lot of commonality, but we have some very unique characteristics, and that's what we play to our strongest suit. People are looking for a place that's got good transportation, rail, road, good utilities, things of that nature, and available land. So we market ourselves for what we got to offer someone looking for a place to come. And of course we have the El Dorado Promise, which is a tremendous educational benefit provided by the Murphy Foundation.
What kind of success have you seen in your marketing efforts?
Well, it's a very competitive world, but what we're gearing up for is when hopefully corporations and businesses start to return back to the states. We lost a lot of our industry base to overseas competition. They didn't go out of business; they went somewhere else. But we think the new administration is going to change some parameters that will help tremendously in bringing and attracting, if not some of the older folks that we had back, some new ones.
I come to this municipal league every year, and as they say around here, great cities build a great state. And I come here to get information about infrastructure needs that my city's growing by leaps and bounds. And I've come here this year to look for the funding opportunities and get advice on how I can get that funding opportunities for the streets and roads and sidewalks and trails and things that my people are really interested in right now.
I come to these conventions for information. I've been coming since 1982, and information is what you come for. You get information from the staff, you get information from the exhibitors, you get information from everybody, including, networking with the other mayors and aldermen and other city officials to just learn how you can better adjust yourself to fix your budget and how to spend your money and where the grants are. And just commingle, work together, and find out the information that we need to make our cities better.
Any city needs more additional revenue, and so that's primarily what we're looking for. We've been very blessed on growth at 3% a year, and we're doing a lot of economic development, but it looks like to me we're going to have to start going to more private-public type ventures, as well as just depending on sales tax revenue and things of that nature. So looks like to me they've got a lot of good topics here, and Municipal League always tries to do that. So I'm looking forward to the workshops that I'm going to attend.
The revitalization of downtown, how can we continue to revitalize our downtown in our city? Fort Smith is doing a good job of that, and we just want to continue that. And what other cities are doing, what other ideas are out there to continue to help our revitalization of our downtown.
Some of the biggest issues facing our city coming from a small town is infrastructure, economic development in attracting industry, and a vibrant downtown.
Actually, there is no single important issue. There is year to year or event to event, there might be an important issue, but there's just general knowledge of a number of things that I come for. New legislation that's either coming out or we're trying to get passed, or just changes in laws that are recommended coming down from federal law changes. So you kind of keep up with the state of the business of city government by coming to the conference. We also get all the benefits of networking. If someone's trying a new ordinance that's going to deal with this particular problem a certain way, we get the benefit of their experience benchmarking against them, and you get that networking capability when you all get together and talk about how you handle the different issues in your city.
I've been coming for 26 years, and so every time I come, I learn something new, whether it's at one of their workshops or in the hall talking to our fellow mayors and see the problems they've had, and there's dogs everywhere in the state and how they've handled that, and just a lot of good information, not just in the workshops themselves, but just networking with other mayors and elected officials in here in Arkansas.
Right now, we have some issues that we need some road improvements in our city, and the Municipal League is a great source. They always bring a lot of good sources here to the conference that we can speak with individuals and learn more about the availability of funds that are needed for our communities.
This is my 25th year with the Municipal League, and they've always been the biggest help I can find to a number of things. The agencies are here with booths, and funding is available in most of them. And just the idea of learning something new from other mayors and the workshops that we have. Those workshops are extremely important to us with new ideas and new information.
One thing I'd say about downtown revitalization, it doesn't happen overnight. We really started on this maybe 20 years ago and have slowly pecked away at it, and we've got some successes, some failures, but the successes outnumber the failures 10 to 1. And be careful what you wish for, because we wanted an entertainment district downtown, and now we have one.
I always learn something here at the Municipal League, and always something I can take back and what I do learn. But that's some of the major issues: jobs and growth of our city, because population loss is a major issue with us.
There are basically two names to the issue that'll be on the ballot, SGR 16, or as it will be actually directed on the ballot, issue 3. And it is a direct change in our Arkansas Constitution, in particular Article 12, Section 5, regarding what cities can do with their money, and it will allow them to provide funds to private entities for economic service projects and economic service contracts. That's the essence of it.
And what would this mean for cities?
Well, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. They've got to be very mindful of the limited funds they have, so they have to be very careful about the projects and contracts that they enter into. But it will allow them to do these sorts of things economically for their community that they've not been allowed to do in the past. So provided they watch the citizens' funds correctly and have very well-written contracts, I think it'll be very beneficial for cities and towns. But the danger is in overspending and perhaps buying into a project or a contract that's not particularly good. So we have to be very careful of that.
Could you give us an example of how it would work in an ideal world?
Well, the kinds of projects are listed in the amendment, and they're typically big sorts of things that you would help on to build your industrial base. And then the contracts are more in the service arena, typical of chambers of commerce and things like that. So those are the basic examples that go on in the amendment.
And when will people be voting on this?
At the general election in November, right around the corner.
My name is Ian Thomas. I'm the State and Local Program Director with America Walks. America Walks is a national education and advocacy organization focused on encouraging people to walk more often, but connected to that, promoting the creation of walkable places, walkable communities, walkable neighborhoods, business districts, employment centers. And one of the facts of the late 20th century is that we engineered walking out of our lives to a very large degree in a lot of parts of our cities and across our states and across the country as a whole. And that's had some very negative impacts in a lot of areas: health and safety and economic activity, environmental impact, quality of life, tourism, all kinds of areas have been negatively impacted. So America Walks' mission and goal is to reverse those trends, to start creating places, and typically the centers of towns are the best places to start because they were designed that way in the first place, to make great places for people to walk. One of the reasons that walkable places are great places and are beneficial to cities is because they bring people together. And when people come together in large numbers, trade and commerce happens, happens, community happens, discussion happens between people, and we create great communities by starting with walkable places. As Rick mentioned, I'm also an elected official myself. I've finished my first 3-year term as a member of the City Council in Columbia, Missouri, just a few hours north of here, a college town in the middle of the state of Missouri. And I got reelected 2 months ago for another 3-year term. And creating healthy, economically vibrant activities in Columbia is a big part of my platform as a council member in Columbia. The cost of building a wholly or almost entirely car-oriented community is immense, and we can actually cut costs dramatically by in the long term by focusing on creating places that are safe and inviting for people to walk and ride bicycles, and by improving transit systems in communities of appropriate size. And then economic development, which I think you'll see when we get to our panel discussion, is a theme through the cities of Batesville, Bryant, and El Dorado, where focusing on walkability, focusing on people-oriented design has improved the local economy quite significantly. Is this a walkable community? This is a very typical scene in most American cities. The business loop, the 5-lane state highway that is entirely populated on both sides by drive-in, drive-through type businesses, no sidewalks, no crosswalks, a tremendous amount of traffic, wide driveways. If you look very closely at that picture, right in the middle, you can see a man with red trousers halfway across the street. He's trying to get from the business on one side across to the Hardys on the other, and this is what he has to go through. Every now and again we hear about tragic stories in large cities where somebody gets killed whilst trying to attempt to cross a road like this where no provisions are provided. Oops. So here are some other not walkable neighborhoods where sidewalks have decayed, where sidewalks were never built, where the sidewalks are not adequate for the people who need to use them. And our transportation planning has forgotten about a lot of people who have to get around our communities by walking or by bicycling in many cases. And this is something that we need to reverse. It sounds like this is a budget item, that this is something else on top of all of the important civic issues that we're all dealing with that we have to carve out from the budget. But the fact is, in the bigger picture, in the longer term, we're going to save money. We're going to spend a lot less on building transportation infrastructure for cars if we can build good transportation infrastructure for people, because we're going to limit the amount of driving that needs to be done. And there's a number of different aspects to that. So what does a walkable neighborhood look like? And I've got some pictures of different walkable neighborhoods here just to kind of help you visualize this. I'm sure you know some of them in towns that you're from or nearby. But the important thing is that it's not only an urban phenomenon. You can create pleasant, walkable, safe, accessible pathways in rural areas, in small towns, in suburban areas. It's a question of studying what people need in order to accomplish their acts of daily living, to achieve recreation in that town, and then studying the design of the infrastructure you have and how to retrofit it. It's really not very expensive, and it yields tremendous benefits. Everybody wants a safe city. And I will just add that there's the other aspect of public safety. There's good evidence that when you create walkable communities, you actually reduce crime in those areas as well, because you get lots of law-abiding people out on the sidewalks in the downtown, in the community, and that is a crime deterrent program right there. So traffic safety and public safety. Public health is a very major benefit of walkable communities. I'm going to focus first on children. In 1969, half of all American children walked to school. By 2006, that had fallen to less than a third of what it was. And guess what? Guess what else happened in that same time? There you can see the green line, the U.S. children who walk or bike to school, falling from 69 to 2006 down to 15%. The U.S. children who are overweight or obese almost quadrupled during that same 35-year period, from 8% to 30%. And that's a terrible indictment on the policies of this generation, that we've created cities and counties and states and a nation in which more than 30% of our youth are overweight or obese, because those young people grow up to be overweight or obese adults and really just have terrible life outcomes with illness and disability and medication. And by creating walkable communities, we can dramatically reduce that. This is a plot showing adult obesity across the country. The two states with the highest obesity level at present are Mississippi and West Virginia. You'll see a large swath of the South and the lower Midwest in that high obesity category. I don't have it here, but those of you that have been involved in public health may have seen the video in which the state's level of obesity is plotted every year over a 20-year period, and you can see since the 1980s this blossoming, this growth of overweight and obese people. It's not only about physical activity. Nutrition certainly has a major role in this as well, but physical activity is about half of it, and people are less physically active because we don't have walkable places. And finally, on public health, here's an interesting plot showing the relationship between the level of obesity and what we call mode share in transportation, namely the percentage of trips that are taken by walking, biking, or transit. And it's important to remember, while transit is not a physically active mode of transportation in itself, when you take a bus ride or a train ride, you have to get to that bus stop or get to that train station. And most people will walk to do that. Sometimes people will bike. A lot of buses, I think I saw it here in Little Rock, have bike racks on the front. So you can bike to the bus, put your bike on the bus, and then get off at the other end and bike the last bit if it's a little far from the bus stop. Here's an example of a walkable community project from Brooklyn, New York, and we're going to talk about economic development and the economic benefits of creating walkable communities. The lower right is the after picture, and it's a fairly simple project. A median was put down the middle, put some landscaping, some trees to create a more attractive visual appearance. And then one of the car lanes was taken away and a bicycle lane was put in so that people actually started biking, and the cars are going slower. The fascinating thing is that business boomed. The green line there shows Vanderbilt Avenue in Brooklyn, the relative sales compared to a parallel street in the same neighborhood and compared to the city of Brooklyn as a whole, which are the pink and blue lines. People want to be with other people. When you create a walkable community, human beings come together. You're creating great places where people want to be, whether to get a cup of coffee, to sit outside, just to stroll down a nice boulevard with some trees, some shade, attractive buildings. And once people come together, then they engage in commerce. What we've done over the last 50 years across the United States is engineer walking out of our lives by building almost every public place primarily for the automobile, and that has resulted in a lot of desertion from those places.
I'm Sherman Banks, and I've been involved with the League now, I guess, 10 years. I'm past president of Sister Cities International, and I've been doing the consulting aspect to bring Sister Cities to Arkansas and through the Municipal League. But last year, Mayor Ellenbaum and Mayor Brown and I went to Ghana to sign an agreement, which is the MOU between the National Association of Local Government Authorities of Ghana and the Volta region and the Arkansas Municipal League. And representing the NILAG as the acronym for that organization is Paulina Adinira. She's the mayor of Pandu.
NILAG, as we call it, is the equivalent of the Arkansas Municipal League, as it is here, and comprises 216 districts, as we refer to.
I think the officials were very cordial, friendly, and always willing to assist us in any way possible. They were eager to learn how we did things here in the United States or here in Arkansas. And I think that by working together, we can come up with a common bond, a common trend to make their government work, help them structure their government better. They're receptive, I feel like they're receptive to the idea of our democracy and our way of electing our officials.
Our delegation, we had 2 individuals from Riceland Foods, and they have not traded rice with Ghana since in the early 80s. In my last conversation with the delegation that was over there from the Stuttgart area, that they were just about to ship their first load. When we were there, we saw rice at the port from Vietnam, and we definitely think that, and the gentleman from Stuttgart, from Riceland Foods, think that we can give them a better quality. And also, our expertise is farming. We have 1 growing season. They have 3 growing seasons. And I think getting someone in their area to be able to train, and I think the possibility, and I know, Mayor, that when we were there, we talked about the opportunities for maybe a farmer from Arkansas going over there, setting up and getting land, their availability of land. It's a beautiful country. The Volta region is rich and it's fertile, and there are just so many opportunities. And I know one other opportunity there, a lot of the highways, they're very interested in improving their infrastructure. And at the port, they have, the China delegation is over there building roads. They're not as happy. They would love to have the USA to come over, the United States. We have contractors in the state of Arkansas that could lend a hand, and it could be economically feasible for them to relocate over there. The Port Authority has $24 billion in cash to improve their infrastructure there. They are begging for quality work from the United States. I really think that's where that we could connect and be a valuable asset to the Ghana delegation. Now it's time to introduce the new officers. To my left, and I'd like to thank the nominating committee for this selection. To my left, Mayor Jimmy Williams, Marietta, Vice President, District 1. Mayor Jill Dabbs, Bryant, Vice President, District 2. Vice Mayor Kevin Settle, Fort Smith, Vice President, District 3. Mayor Gary Baxter of Mulberry, Vice President, District 4. And our first Vice President to my right, Mayor Doug Sprouse, Springdale.
As first Vice President, I would really encourage the League to be totally involved in workforce development as we prepare to work with the state and continue to work with the state to bring quality jobs to Arkansas and have the workforce prepared and trained to enable us to do so.
This year, I would like to see the AML accomplish and continue on with the good work they've done with the legislators in our state and recognition that they give our legislators, and I truly appreciate what the League does with the legislature, and I'm looking forward to seeing the good things coming out of the coming session, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve as Vice President.
What I'd like to see is E-Trade brought forward so that we can really levelize the playing field for our brick and mortar businesses.
One issue I'd like to see the Municipal League accomplish this year is to work with our cities and improve our downtown areas, which will revitalize our downtown and our cities, which will make the state of Arkansas prosper in the future.
One issue I'd like to see the League accomplish this year is to partner with the governor on economic and community development for our cities throughout the state.
I'm going to reflect a little bit about the city of Batesville. Of course, everyone I think out here has that passion to make your city better, make it economic vibrant, and make it the quality of life for our citizens, which is very important. I think a lot of times some of us mayors may think, I did this, I did that. And my good mayor friend Jackie Crabtree mentioned to me once, said no one should have the I disease. I did this and I did that. We all know that it takes a team. My team sits right over here, my city council. We have worked hard in the city of Batesville. We've worked for an economic, vibrant community, but we've had to plant seeds. We've had to plant, we've had to reach for the low-hanging fruit. We've had challenges, we've had defeats, but we've all stood tall and we've come back stronger. We cut a ribbon last week on our wastewater. Everyone knows out there that infrastructure is so crucial to your community. 9 years ago, when I became mayor, had the opportunity to spend $100,000. That didn't go very far with asphalt. Guess what? That 9-year-old asphalt has cracks in it now. It's wearing out. So we have to continue to work on infrastructure. If you don't have water, if you don't have sewer, then you're actually dead in the water. You're not going to have industry to look at you. So this is something that our community has stressed, and we've worked. And not just our citizens, I guess in 2009, passed a sales tax initiative. Sometimes you have to challenge them. 93% approval rating to take care of our wastewater. We're a poultry, we have a lot of poultry industry there. Pico Foods is there, poultry industry. They drop $900,000 each week into the payroll. That is just one company. We have 2 poultry companies there. So I'd say between 2, we probably have close to $2 million that drops into our community right there. So it's very crucial. Those 2 industries would not have purchased. We had companies that were bankrupt. These folks came in. The number one question they ask, what is your wastewater capacity? And so I have to commend my city for stepping up. I know there's a lot of you in small communities, and you have to sometimes challenge the community to raise the water rates. Now, that's one thing. If we would not have passed that sales tax initiative, we would have had to triple our rates. That doesn't make a mayor very popular if you have to do that. But sometimes, like I said, you have to challenge. Another thing we have worked on in our community is quality of life. The new millennials want to come to a community where they can recreate. Some of them even move to your community, and then they try to find a job. So I think that's very important. We've worked on trails. Like I said, we've worked on the low-hanging fruit. Our first trail was built out of wood chips. I think I mentioned last year at our address. So picking the low-hanging fruit is very important. I know not everyone can go and build a $50 million wastewater system. You don't need it. But like I said, each of us have those challenges. We built baseball fields. We were challenged the first time in 2010, and it was defeated. We missed it by 90 votes because we had individuals in our community. As a matter of fact, our quorum court did not support it. They said it is not economic development. Our first baseball tournament on our new sports complex year before last, on Monday after it was over, I had a gentleman that owns 3 Sonics in the Batesville area. He said, whatever you did, do it again. So it's economic development. Is it sports? Is it bringing people into your community? I would say yes. I see a lot of heads shaking yes right there. So we have met those challenges. 2012, like I said, we went back, we put it on the ballot. We missed it by 90. We had a 60% approval rate. Not a 93% like the wastewater. We'll never get that. I think the only one to get a 93% approval rate would be the mayor. Don't tell the citizens back home I said that. So we all have challenges, but we have goals. So we have to move forward. We have to do the best for our cities. We have to pick up the trash. We have to make sure the ditches are cleaned out. Every time, if you live in a city, now we have a lot of hills and valleys. And believe me, when it rains, the telephone calls. And we try to help every one of our citizens. And like I said, we try to give them the best service that we can. And I know each and every one of you try to do the same thing. Thank you so much for this awesome opportunity. And if I didn't have, I wouldn't give it up, but a little bit later on, I know I'm going to have to hand the gavel to a good Christian man. So I'm going to save that for later. So thank you guys so much. Our next president, his wife, Irma, and myself and Harry, we spent 14 days in Ghana. And you get to know individuals if you spend 14 days in a country where you don't have a car. But it was very rewarding. We have created a friendship. This guy has a lot of knowledge. He is 30 years in law enforcement, the gas and oil industry. Absolutely. When we were in Ghana, West Africa, we had we went to the Department of Petroleum. This guy he had as much knowledge as anyone in the room about gas and oil. I was very impressed. He's owned his own construction company. He's a Christian man. Our next president, Mayor Harry Brown.
I want you all to know that this position is not something that I ever thought I'd have. So God got to be somewhere for this to all come about. Because you know I started out a long time ago, just a little young, nappy-headed boy in Stevens. And my parents were poor, and my father was the garbage man, and I helped him gather the garbage. And now, here I am, standing before you. I don't know that I'll do anything right while I'm in this position. But I know that if I'll be trying. And I want you to know that if I can be of any help to any of you at any time, I just want you to lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Thank you. as league president, I'd like to see all Arkansas cities work together for a common goal, and that's to move the whole state forward.
I think one of the big ones here was our endorsement of issue 3, provided that we can get proper implementation legislation there, and we feel like the proponents of that have agreed with us that we need some safeguards in there to implement it correctly, so it will be definitely something that could help economic development in Arkansas without jeopardizing the finances of anyone.
And explain how that would work. What is going to actually be on the ballot?
Well, the amendment reverses the Article 12, Section 5 of the state constitution to whereby municipalities can use their funds for, they've always been able to use them only for public purposes. Under this amendment, they can use them also for economic development purposes. And the legislature will be asked to put some safeguards in that to make sure that those are used correctly.
And what benefit do you see this is offering to cities in Arkansas?
Well, I think this gives them another tool to attract jobs and to provide incentives for industries and economic development projects to occur in their throughout the state.
Tell us, what is the Arkansas Municipal League doing to improve the health of citizens in Arkansas?
But one thing is hashtag AML moves. Actually, our Municipal League employees are involved in this, and we're getting our citizens healthy. And, you know, one thing that we have to do, if you're a healthy employee, you're a productive employee. So we're trying to get them up and move and to be healthy.
The convention is great. I have learned things, and it gives me knowledge to go back home and help my people in our community.
I think it makes me proud to be a part of a municipal organization, be a municipal official, that all of us are trying to be good public servants, are trying to do right things for our city. It's a great fraternity to be a part of.
What you see in the workshops, but the networking when you get outside that, and visiting with other mayors throughout the state, particularly the same size that Jonesboro is, we share ideas and what they've been through, and we've learned a great deal from that. So the networking is just as important sometimes as the workshops.
Very, very valuable, especially when you hear so many cities have the same issues that you do, and you get to talk to other people in other cities, and you get to hear what they have to say. So it's very valuable to hear what other cities have and their issues and how we can all work together to become a better city.
The networking is just absolutely wonderful. You have such a good opportunity to understand that not only does your community have the issue, but someone else does too. So it's really a great networking opportunity.
You get 500 cities in the same room together and talk about all of our problems, and you don't have to recreate the wheel because somebody maybe have already done it. So we've been able to shortchange a lot of things that we do because somebody else has done it, and they're more than happy to share those ideas with us. So 99% of everybody in Municipal League is wanting to do better for their city, and with us together, we share that information and take it home to our people.
Well, it's great solidarity, great unity among all the cities. We all work together from one end of the state to the other, and it's all about people working together. And when you work together, you become a team. And then as you take care of one another, you move the city to a whole new level as you work together in solidarity.
It's always great to come here and catch up on the latest legislation, the latest grant applications, things of that nature. This is just a tremendous resource for information like that. And of course, meet vendors, and just a good connecting with folks.
Okay, now we have a special announcement. We actually have an anniversary. And please keep your seats now. I don't want you to leave on this one right here. In 1966, President Lyndon Johnson launched his Great Society program. Revenue from Washington, D.C. to assist states and municipalities was an integral part of President Johnson's Great Society. In 1966, Mayor Vasco Carter of Crossett was the league president. Mayor Carter and the executive committee thought it would be in the league's best interest to hire someone to guide Arkansas municipalities in an effort to take advantage of the Great Society programs that were becoming available. A position of federal aid consultant was created, and the annual salary was set at $4,800. The executive committee interviewed several candidates for the job. One candidate stood out. Primary because he was tall and very familiar to many of the executive committee members. He could often be seen mowing the grass and weeding the flower beds of league headquarters. By 1966, this young groundskeeper was attending law school at night. The young man wowed the interview committee, and by a unanimous vote, the executive committee selected 24-year-old Don Zimmerman for the new league position. His job summary was brief. It said he was to increase emphasis on taking advantage of Great Society programs and assist other league activities, including promoting AML services. It was also understood that Don would assist the anticipated move to the new league headquarters on Pershing Street in North Little Rock. Don, most of your original job description, which included to take advantage of the Great Society programs, has been dropped. However, the part that said to assist other league activities, including league programs, remains. The league has undergone many changes in the last 50 years. However, the one constant thread throughout the entire time has been Don and his devotion to the cities and towns of Arkansas. His leadership has contributed mightily to the success of the league. Because of Don's leadership, our league has a reputation as being one of the best in the country. Don, the 1966 Executive Committee, knew what they were doing when they hired you to assist in league activities. As an organization, we have been blessed your 50 years of service. On behalf of the 500 cities and towns of Arkansas, Don, I think you need to start making your way all the way up here. Just go ahead and come up through here. Let me finish. On behalf of the 500 cities and towns of Arkansas, please accept the glass sculpture created by James Hayes Art Class Company as our gesture of thanks for your tireless efforts in promoting our Arkansas Municipal League motto of great cities make a great state. Mr. Don Zimmerman.
This is a terrific honor. It's been a blessing for me to work for you all for all these years, and you're the greatest people in the world. I love the governor's address tonight, talking about all the wonderful communities across the state, because that's truly what we've got. We've got a great thing going in Arkansas, and it's just going to get better. And thank you all so much for honoring me with that wonderful gift, and for all the years that I've been able to work with you. We've gone a long way together, and I think we got a long way to go. Thank you all very much.
If people have questions like more information, what should they do?
Well, they should probably check our website, arml.org, and go through our services and benefits that are available to them there, as well as contacting our various staff members.